should have a system where you can have checks and balances.
Sort of a hierarchy.
Yes, but this guy who desecrated the tomb of Joseph has no ability to do that because he would be on such a low level.
Yeah, but the issue is, I suppose you're confusing between what the Muslims are doing and what Islam says. Islam has got that structure.
No, what I'm saying is that the culture needs to be influenced.
You're about putting checks and balances so that the perpetrator is punished.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
It will come up.
I'm saying that when the individual
The
who
Arabic
desecrated
and
the
the
tomb
English
of Joseph
both
is
comes up.
desecrating the tomb of Joseph, the people around him
I'll show
are
you.
encouraging his behaviour. But when that individual can be identified by the community he comes from as a initiate or low level adherent of the faith, then he is subservient to somebody who has better knowledge. And that person who has better knowledge would say, "Excuse me, idiot, stop desecrating the tomb of a prophet of Islam. Just stop doing that, because I shouldn't have to tell you this, but desecrating the tombs of the prophets is a bad thing."
That's correct.
But nobody's there to call those checks and balances. There's no identification of that man's weakness.
The problem is whether they've got any powers to enact any sort of punishment or something like that. That's the problem. Now, which is why basically you need to build a system that's structured around what Islamic laws and rest of the criminal system. You need to build that, and unless that is actually in place, you cannot, and no one has got the power, because obviously you've got other systems that are dictating how you act. I mean, if someone is doing bad, you can do whatever you can say to him. This is bad, don't do that, stop it. But that's all you can do. You can't take it further. No,
this is the problem, because again, if you take the example of
which example are you referring to? I just heard what you were saying in terms of the tomb of Joseph.
Yes, if you Google it, you'll find it. These photographs are taken and published in the 70s after the situation. I can't remember the exact date.
I take it in Jerusalem.
Yeah, the tomb of Joseph, which is Machpelah, was desecrated by just people, Muslim people, but no one in authority is doing it.
The photo.
They're doing it.
The photo of the letter in Arabic, and the Prophet has put his hand because he didn't read and write.
It's very big.
This letter is still in that church hanging.
Walaikum salam. How are you? You're right? Alhamdulillah, everything good?
I saw your video, that's like...
No, Jazakallah, brother. Alhamdulillah, all good. Keep supporting us, inshallah. Walaikum salam. How are you? I certainly have already done.
And all truth revealed, inshallah.
Yeah, no problem.
Been desecrated, and I was using the example of bad behaviour, the most extreme form of bad behaviour from an Islamic point of view, because it's ridiculous, it's comedic that they would think that they would attack this tomb because this person, because they're anti-Jew, and they're attacking this tomb of Joseph because they see it as a place of Jewish veneration, when in actual fact Joseph is not even a Jew.
I mean, when you look at like the Israeli state, the places which other Muslims would consider holy. So that's a state acting in that same bad behavior. So there's no one to check it out.
There's a difference between...
Why is there a difference?
Well, you say bulldozing what shrines and tombs and whatever.
Which Muslim people consider holy, right? So there's no respect on that side. But this is a state which has got the power.
Well, I mean, you'd have to give me an example of such a thing, because I've not heard of that. I think they're pretty good at holding on their archaeology in Israel.
Right, okay, fine. So
No, sorry, there's a confusion. What he's asking for is based on the idea of tombs being desecrated. Whereas what you are talking about is the Israeli state actually demolishing people's houses and with impunity. There is nothing to counter that. That is what he's saying.
Yeah, I know, and I'm not even discussing politics.
Yeah, it's
not politics.
It's a comparison of the yards.
I'm talking about religious adherence, adhering to their religious beliefs and honouring the prophets of their own religion. That's why I use it as an example.
Right.
It's not somebody's house. It's the resting place of the prophet of Islam.
It is the principle that you're talking about. That if I go against my principles, then I'm guilty of
against yourself, yes.
Yes, because
You call yourself guilty, yes.
Exactly, because that's what you're talking about. You're talking about like if the person believes that that's the prophet Joseph or whatever, and he goes and desecrates the tomb, he's going against his own sort of belief system.
You'd hope so. You'd hope so.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, but that's what I'd hope so. Whether this person is educated, that's what my point was originally. Now, I don't know this person, I don't know his education, I don't know what he's been formed, anything about the Prophet Joseph. Or maybe he's completely ignorant. Maybe he thinks that Joseph
Brother
is not a
Shabir,
prophet.
if you needed Bible or internet, I have it, yeah? Just ask me and I'll give you everything, yeah?
Shukran.
I have two Bibles, NIV and King James both. And I've made some stuff as well.
Excellent,
so if you
excellent.
need it,
Anytime.
and this,
Yeah.
if you need it, just ask me.
Jazakallah, brother.
Anything,
I certainly will, inshallah.
anything,
Definitely,
inshallah.
definitely,
The
brother.
only way to do this is with levels of adherence. And what I was going back to before was the idea that the levels of adherence do have origins. So if you look at Jesus and his position, the original Jews, the actual Jews' position, it wasn't an evangelistic religion. It wasn't going to a place and saying, come to me, I'm going to convert you and believe in me, blah, blah, blah. He was drawing people of his religion to him as a rallying call, as a
His
rallying call.
religion at that time meaning obviously was a Christianity.
No,
Because
Judaism.
it didn't exist.
That's right. He's an Ebionite or SC.
So a Jew calling the Jews and
He's calling
basically preaching to them.
He's calling them to him as to separate themselves.
Walaikum salam. How are you? Alhamdulillah.
And basically corrupted. He's calling them to separate themselves to join them to him. Now what he's doing is setting up a system where you as an initiate who come to him are not on the same level as a disciple and yet not on the same level as an apostle. Each one of these people have a level of authority, like an army, in which you are subservient to. So the checks and balances of a new person joining the religion and acting out and misbehaving are immediately caught because he's automatically under the tutelage, discipleship of somebody else, so whether it's one of the apostles or disciples. Now I think that I would...
That's at that time when he was present, it was possible because he is there, he is the leader.
You know,
What's the next generation? When Christians came into the scene, the religion of his nation, which is confusion anyway, because he was not a Christian technically. But when the Christians came, they do things that he feels they can't do and they do it against him.
yeah,
So the checks and balances.
you're conflating the two together and saying that somehow that Jesus is related to those Christians that come later, and they're not.
No, you are saying that the checks and balances existed at the time of Jesus.
Yes.
Because he was there, he was the leader, right? And then you get the hierarchy.
Not just because he was not because of him. He is not the originator of anything. He entered into the community and followed those practices. Those practices were already there. He wasn't doing anything. He was essentially just filling the roles in that structure.
Not really, because why would you do it?
He needs to start.
He was not going according to the system. He was bringing something different, or at least the perceived to be different, which is why he was punished.
That's why he was calling the people to separate themselves, because the establishment position and the establishment world, and anybody who lived in that world, become ritually impure in the eyes of God. So people and his community, you see, drawing them out, away from that, in order to set up things like
They were becoming different. He was asking them to be
they were like
different.
reverts, right? They're going back to what
No,
originally.
he was asking them to be different.
He's only asking them to be different because what's new is different. So he's asking them to go back to what it was before the new people came.
It's a circular argument.
He would argue that he's not an innovator, he's recapturing the original
This is
religion.
exactly what the Muslim would argue. But we are not innovators. We just bring it back the pure original message.
Yeah, I know. But it's exactly the same argument, isn't it?
Exactly.
Well, I would argue that's where it comes from. You know? It's linked directly together. But it is fascinating when you look at it from that point of view, because some of the stuff in Islam clearly has come down from Jesus and from his missionary activities in the world. You take, for example, the dietary regulations that he laid out. Not to drink blood, not to eat things that have been strangled, things sacrificed to animals and fornication. Those four things in that order, precise order, is in the letters.
The Quran, the word Quran is a criteria. Now the criteria is to filter out what man has added over time. There's only one God. There's only one God from time immemorial. Right? We could still be the same God, right? And what changes is people's perception of what the God is. So what happens is that people start adding their own innovations and belief systems and so on. So constantly God has to come, send someone to sort of clarify the situation, filter out all the additional systems that have kind of cracked in. And that's what it is. So it is that purity that's supposed to go right through time, which is why you see the similarity. Obviously it's similar.
By that
because
logic,
if it's the one God, he will send the same message right through.
By that logic, God would have to be constantly intervening to clean up the mess that constantly occurs, because every well, nothing. You say nothing's happened for 1600 years. Like Muhammad's last of the prophets, there's no more prophets, right?
Yes, but
so we need a 1600-year cleanup.
For example, right? If you start like, let's say, a child starts, he goes into kindergarten, right? What he's learning there is obviously not the same as what a professor in a PhD is. You can't until the capacity to learn is there. So as mankind is sort of increasing in knowledge, so come the systems. And ultimately you come to a system where after the PhD, that's it, then you are using your own intellect and coming up with your own theories and whatever. But the education system starts there and ends up there. So you cannot say that once you've done a PhD, that's the end. And that's exactly how God treats it. If it's the one God, that's it, it's the one God right through. We might perceive him just differently, we might over our own traditions and then add our own bits and bobs and start believing slightly off track. But the essential theme will always be the same. That's why you will always have similarities. You will say that Islam is very similar to Judaism in terms of solid belief system. There's Christianity which has a bit more looser belief system. But in essence, they all have the same thing.
You're making that connection in terms of God being the continuity there, and it's almost like saying, Star Wars is similar to Star Trek, okay? Because the guy who came up with Star Wars, he watched Star Trek, right? That's why he knows. That's why he's getting it. It's not because God has come and said, now we need a new version of this. It's because he's culturally been indoctrinated to see that as a way of thinking, and he's built upon it. And that's essentially the nature of literature and writing.
That may be true, but if you have completely, groups of people who have never connected to each other, then that falls apart, because it's true that if I read your book, I'm influenced by your book. But if you were down under and you wrote a book and there was no internet, I would never have been exposed to you. But if I still had similar sort of perceptions or theories as you, then there's something that's making us think the same.
Yeah, I would agree, but those universal themes are the universal themes of God, if you like.
Yeah.
Those universal themes are far more basic than any kind of law, which has obviously come down to us from a man-made perspective on what to do with what you eat, or what you do in every activity of life. It's nothing to do with what God is saying, it's everything to do with our collective experience and understanding of how to live in our lives and what we think is right and wrong.
When you talk about God, it's a different thing, isn't it? When we talk about humans, that's fine. We can talk about human behavior and all that, right? But when you're talking about belief system, that's a different thing. Because if we are going to on different planets of the different areas of the planet, coming up with the same sort of, if you read the book after, for example, before they were not connected until people started going out and about and then humans have started to connect to each other. But if you start reading into their past writings, which are similar to what your past writings are, and there's some sort of thing that's actually uniting all the traditions and so on.
But I don't see that as confirmation of anything divine. I see that as confirmation of something very political. Because when you're dealing with literature and you have a source for the literature and you can see the literary development going on over time, you can't divorce those two things from each other. Literature is there's an old saying, there's nothing new under the sun. It's the truest thing you ever hear. Every story is either a repeat or a rewrite of a previous story. And that's essentially how it works. Each culture does that, and yes, you're right. Some cultures can live in isolation and not have any contact with those stories. But the universal themes of those stories will be there. They will be there in some form or another. Which is why when a new religion comes to a country, it can either be easily accepted because there are similarities with their own religion, or rejected
because the world is so connected. It doesn't take much. I mean, what we are saying here today is probably around the world anyway right now. People are listening in, and it's the connectivity. So now it doesn't really make much difference because there is a lot of influence now. Instantly you can put it on YouTube or whatever, and you will influence someone not just miles away, thousands of miles away. But when you're talking about books, that's in the past. Obviously we're talking about God.
Are we talking about God? Because as far as I'm concerned, man writes books, not God. And I think according to the Quran, God is giving a recitation, he's not giving a book. Am I right?
Yeah, right.
So even in the
point is that it's not about the book, it's about the message that's coming.
Sure, but all we've got is the book. I mean, if we were there at the time, we'd have a better.
The book allows you to extract the message. That's why the book is there.
We have the message according to the book. I mean, if you were there listening to Muhammad and we have the dictaphone, then you could say that. But we haven't. We only have what people are saying that he said.
Yes, that's right. And then you need to
you
need to evaluate that. Yeah. So you need to come up with some criteria in which to make the judgment.
Yeah, and my criteria would be the 1st century and the previous prophets of Islam. Because in order to evaluate Muhammad's position as in the line of prophets, you need to see how he...
When you say 1st century as in the Christian era?
Yeah, the 1st century, because if you go back to, John the Baptist and Jesus, the most important previous prophets to Muhammad, is there any interim prophets between Jesus and Muhammad of more importance? No. So you go back to the previous one is Jesus. So when you
and the one before that would be Moses.
If you say so.
No. Okay, I'm asking you.
David.
Okay, I'm asking you.
No.
in the hierarchy of prophets,
there's a lot
prior to Jesus, who would you put?
No, for me it's time. I'm just going
chronologically. No, who would you put chronologically?
I'm not making any value judgments.
Well, you already did that because you put Jesus and then you put Muhammad. So you've already done that. No. So instead of going forward, let's go one backwards as well.
You can only go backwards. You can't go see the future. So you're going backwards, and as I said,
backwards from the point of reference which you took as Jesus and brought Muhammad in.
Backwards from the point of reference which was Muhammad, as we were discussing.
Okay, so you're going backwards. All right. So what I'm saying, don't go one step back, go 2 steps back.
I said all the prophets. What did I say? I said all the prophets.
No, I asked.
If you look at Jesus, which is the closest to Muhammad, we look at him first because he's the previous one before that, and we also look at him because in the history and the archaeological record we've got more information. It's that simple.
Yeah,
if you want to look at Abraham, we're really going to struggle
for
material and
as
data.
far as Abraham, before Abraham there was one as well, wasn't it? Moses.
Moses is also really difficult. I mean, really, really difficult.
Why is it difficult?
Have you seen any archaeological data about Moses?
Because according to the Jews, obviously Moses is a very important character, isn't it? So obviously the information is there.
Okay,
if not just as much as Muhammad.
I'm talking extra biblical information. Because if you only go by the internal information, as I said, you only have the point of view of the person person who is looking at it and saying this is what was said, rather than what was said. And in the archaeological record, you're doing the same thing. You're having it from the point of view at the time, and maybe if you're lucky, from somebody who is objective. Somebody saying, oh, I was here, I was travelling and I saw this. That's the ideal. Somebody from another culture travelling in a foreign land, explaining what he saw. That's the ideal, because he has no, he's got no dog in the fight. He can say what he wants to say, and nobody's going to go, okay, he's lying because...
As long as he's not biased.
That's ideal.
As long as he's not biased. Because if he is into another country, he's an invader anyway, so he's already biased.
Well, if you, in the ancient world...
he's not going to pass by.
If in the ancient world you're writing the travel books, which they did, lots of travel books in the ancient world, you were quite well off, and you were already slightly biased towards the country you're visiting, because you paid a lot of money to go there.
That's the
it's like
problem.
buying a book in a bookshop. You want to like the book when you take it home, because you just bought it, you just paid money for it. You can't, you're invested in it.
So from the conversation, if I were to ask, okay, are we suggesting that we can't arrive at certainty in the context of historical records?
Yes.
Is that what we are saying?
Yeah, there is no
Okay,
certainty.
is there any reliance that we should have on historical records?
I would argue that it's better to get a good evaluation of what is probable in history before you make any value judgments or assertions towards your beliefs.
So I take that to mean a no.
If you like.
Okay.
I use my
The issue then arises, if I want to know about anything, okay, if I look at the archaeological records, it is going to be a matter of what one individual interprets that to be. If this particular person is, as it were, there is a reliance on authority, okay, and that authority says, look, I have discovered this and I know it to be X, and the rest of the students will accept it per se.
Yeah.
Is that a logical method to employ?
No.
It isn't. Okay. If it isn't, what other independent method can me and you and him adopt which will give us a conclusion which is based on evidence and reason?
You shouldn't try to get a conclusion.
Why?
Because it's irrelevant. You're not going to get it, so don't try.
Right. Okay. Now, isn't that based on what you know?
Of course. Everything's based on what I know.
But not only that, it is also based on the limited amount of information that you do possess.
Only at this time.
Exactly.
I would not draw a conclusion because future times may have more information.
Excellent. So now if we were to look on the basis of what we do possess, and we look at the historical information, how would you view it?
Which period, which person?
It doesn't matter. If we take it in the context of the conversation that so far we've been having about historical personalities who were attributed a kind of semi-divinity, i.e. prophethood, yeah, they claimed that they had particular kinds of messages that they received which they imparted to the people. How would we view that?
I don't understand the question.
Oh, okay. Basically, if I were to say, right, there was a man who called himself Jesus Christ, how do I know? Well, these particular records testify to the existence of this individual. At what point do I discredit the information, and on what basis?
You have to evaluate the data on the basis of the time and the place that the data comes.
Excellent. But to evaluate it, I would need a prior yardstick, am I correct?
If you have it. If you haven't got it, you have to
Excellent.
go with instinct.
If you have not got it. But now, there's a major problem with this reasoning that I'm seeing. If I am going to bring a product which states that it is from a source other than a human source, what yardstick then are we going to use?
You cannot use any yardstick.
Then we are going to have to rely on it.
You can't rely on it, of course. You have to rely on your trust in the person telling you this. It's down to simple trust in an individual.
Excellent. But if we are going to base it on trust, okay, then there is a possibility you are going to have to agree that we can also rely on authority.
Whose authority?
Based on trust.
Whose authority?
Whoever is the individual we are relying on.
You're relying on their authority to tell you their...
the trust element.
You have as much authority to interpret the world you live in as that person does.
Okay, so if that is the case, and the subject matter about the PhD came in, yeah? Surely you are not agreeing with this premise that if you know A, B, C, and D only, and somebody else knows A to Z, you are on an equal footing?
No, sure.
Exactly not. You can't. So I wouldn't suggest that that would be the way forward. However, that still begs the question that if, for example, you said we can base it on trust, which we can agree with, the trust element is going to be possibly based on how much you know about the person on a personal level. But if the personal connection is not there, are you suggesting that we should not trust anything?
No, I'm not. Again, if you give your trust to something because it's your part of your culture, your cultural inheritance, your father trusted it, your grandfather trusted it.
Okay.
You're bound to find it more likely to be truthful than something which comes from China, which is not part of your culture.
More likely to be truthful, but not necessarily
you are more
truthful.
likely to find it truthful. It's not more likely to.
Exactly. You are likely to find it. Not that it is independently true.
Exactly.
How do we establish what is independently true?
Comparative evaluation.
Let's do a comparative evaluation. If I were to say to you, okay, let's look at the Bible and let's look at the Quran. Comparative evaluation. For us to do that, the first thing we would have to establish is why we are looking at this comparison. Is it on the basis of establishing that these particular messages seem to have come from an independent source? What would be our yardstick to establish what we are trying to do?
You keep saying yardstick.
Yes.
If you are true and you're honest, you look at the Bible, you understand that it's not a book.
But truth and
It's a
honesty is
compilation.
subjective.
If you have a compilation, you can't possibly judge one compilation by one yardstick. You're talking about a book written over hundreds and hundreds of years by multiple people.
Okay. How have you come to this conclusion? What yardstick did you use?
Everything I know, I've learned.
I'm sorry, my friend. I'm Shabir. You are?
Toby.
Sorry?
Toby.
Toby. Nice meeting you. Look, Toby, I agree with you. But the question again arises that for me, to be able to verify anything, you talked about honesty and truth. I would suggest to you these are subjective elements. Unless me and you agree on an independent truth by which we can measure something, we are forever going to say, well, I'm telling the truth, you are going to say I'm telling the truth.
And like I said, it's far more important to get your history straight first, before we ask ourselves the tough questions. Because if we understand the true history, we can understand if something's a lie before we even get to it.
Excellent. But Toby, a few minutes ago we did say, can we trust history? What did you say?
I know, but
you said no.
If you can trust the evidence on the ground.
Aha! But that needs a criteria.
Yeah, but sure. But if you doubt the evidence on the ground, you have to have a reason. If you, for example, if there is a tomb of an individual, Abraham Lincoln's grave, you want to say this is not the grave of Abraham Lincoln. You either need to have some reason to suggest that this is a false grave, somebody who has a vested interest in creating a false grave, or you need to have an alternative site, another place for that grave or real grave. You can't. If you want to say this grave is a complete fabrication, this individual never existed, and this is just there to prove that it existed, to back up the story being told. All these are possibilities, all these could be possibly true. But in order to make those assertions, you have to first discount the position that you've inherited, which is he lived, he died, and he was buried here. You need to have a reason.
Okay, if I were to take that example to its logical conclusion, you are suggesting to me that if I came and said, right, I don't believe this is Abraham Lincoln's grave, is it a claim I'm making? It is. Would I need to back it up with evidence?
To me, yes.
Excellent. But for me and you to accept the position, we would necessarily have to agree what kind of evidence we are going to adopt.
Sure.
Yardstick again.
Well, yeah, but it's the evidence is what's available.
Excellent.
With history, we haven't got a choice.
Excellent.
It's just what's there.
It is what is there. But the question still arises, is there a possibility, remote though it may be, depending on the perspective, is there a possibility that in history therein lies an independent source of knowledge or information? Is there a possibility?
You're asking me, in history, the outside of the human cultural transmission in history,
Yes.
there's an independent source
Potentially.
passing down information generation to generation.
Potentially.
Of course there's potential.
Excellent,
Everything.
excellent. But now, my second question, yeah, it sounds like convoluted, but it isn't. My second necessary question then is this: how am I going to verify that potential, remote though it may be, independent information?
Well, unless it actually can actually have personal experiential knowledge of that thing, I don't see how you can.
So now, can we do that to the Bible and the Quran?
Well, Muhammad certainly was able to do that, was he not?
No, I'm asking us, not him.
Well, maybe.
Can we do it?
Maybe if you believe that it's possible to emulate the behaviour of an individual like a prophet and actually have that experience.
Why have you used this criteria before we have discussed
because that's the only notion that I can think of as proving that there is that transmission.
Look, we didn't ask about proving the transmission. We only said if we were to make a comparison in trying to establish what we had started off with.
No, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
No, you can't.
Then the remote possibility has been removed.
Yeah, but one is, as we said, is completely based upon trust. Unless, and even in the case of being in the presence of the individual who's had that communication,
I agree.
it's still based on trust.
I agree.
So
However,
you can't use this any yardstick to judge it. Only the fact that you believe that person is truthful or liar, delusional, or
right, but here is where I have a slight view, a slightly different view. You see, if I were to take, for example, the Bible, whatever experience I possess, whatever knowledge I possess, based on the current information about a creator, yes, I'm aware that the creator ought to be this being who would not be in a position to commit an error like human beings would do.
He ought to be.
I use the word ought because we haven't established it yet.
Well, isn't
Okay.
that what you perceive him to be without any evidence?
I just said based on the current information we possess, and that's what we can rely on. We agreed on that.
Yeah, but again, you are bringing the morality into it. You're saying that
Whatever
that
it
the
is,
good thing.
it's whatever information we possess. We agreed on that. So the question is, I would look at a particular source, and according to the information we possess, okay, it is telling me that this creator, if a message was communicated, as you see, ought and if are being put in, if it was communicated, then necessarily, based on the information that we possess about this creator, that particular information, message, book, call it what you want, will not contain any kind of error that we would normally associate with human beings. Is there a criteria which we can both use?
It's the best criteria.
No, he just agreed with it. He can't disagree with it now.
Really good.
Oh, good. Excellent, Toby. Yeah, no, I agree with you.
It's true, because you have no, but then again, how would we be able to evaluate what that is? Because human error, in order to understand all human error, you have to have all knowledge of all human error. How can you distinguish between human error and God's error?
Excellent. But here's a big problem now. Whichever way we are going, we have come back with a criteria we need to adopt. Now, here is a problem, but the solution has to be found. If something claims to be from this creator, then I would logically assume that a necessary test for us fallible human beings, yes, would also be included in this message, book, whatever you want to call it, so that us fallible human beings will be able to verify its claims. Don't you think that's reasonable?
It's reasonable, but before I would even do that, I would first evaluate those claims in history.
So you do have a criteria.
If you have those claims, the same claim that's being made, then you can find that in the historical record, somebody making that claim.
Yes.
You can't divorce the two from each other.
Right, wait a minute.
So then it would be human error once again.
Right, excellent. But then that is based on the assumption, in fact I would say it's based on the presumption that there is nothing independent that has come down.
Evaluation based upon the evidence, finding the original person saying it and comparing it to the...
Excellent, okay. Let's just do that for 2 minutes. You know, you use the word dictation. You had used the word earlier on in the conversation. You used the word dictation. Yeah? Dictating.
We had a recording basically of it.
Yeah, a dictation of the... Yeah? If you think about it, how was the Quran communicated to the Prophet Muhammad? Are you familiar?
Yeah.
How?
He's commanded to recite by the angel Gabriel.
And did he dictate it?
No, he spoke it. He spoke the words.
What is dictating?
It's speaking the word.
It is doing exactly that. Yeah? So, now, as you said, an evaluation.
You do need some, in order to dictate, you need somebody there to record the action.
And they were there. But now there are human beings out there.
At that time?
Yes, they were.
If they were just listening, it's not dictation.
No. Okay. To him it was, and he dictated it to the people who wrote it down.
At that moment?
Yes. Okay. The question is this. What has been written down, what was dictated, is the subject matter that we are trying to evaluate. But the point here is that if our evaluation has led us to a particular point in history from which this comes to the current situation we are in, where we are trying to establish the authenticity, veracity of this particular message, I would suggest, okay, the historical element and evaluation we have done. But still, there is this message, book, call it what you want, which needs to be now assessed on the basis of a criteria, on the basis of a yardstick. Now, me and you, if we are going to try and agree on something, logic necessarily suggests that we must accept a common yardstick or criteria which then we can apply so that we can come to a conclusion on which we both agree.
It's logical.
It isn't it?
You can agree on it on the yardstick.
Exactly. Now, if, for example, the Bible has a test and it is an internal test, then it is independent of both of us. And I can't see any problem with me and you agreeing with that test. Because it is independent.
If it itself is telling you.
Because it is itself giving you the test. Now, should we not actually undertake the test and see if it passes muster?
No, we should. But then again,
sorry?
We should take.
What
is the test, though?
Oh, right. Okay. Now, the first post we have passed that look, there is potentially something which we can assess. Now, if I were to take the Bible as an example, okay, in the book of Psalm, chapter 18, verse 30, it gives you a test. It says, the way of God is perfect, and the word of the Lord is flawless. Now, that's one. There are others also, okay? How do we verify it without actually studying the contents of the book? We can't, can we?
I don't understand what you think about it. You lost me now.
Okay. It's quite actually...
It's not a test. That's not a test.
What is it? What is it?
What is it? I don't know. You tell me.
I'm telling you it's a test.
How is it a test?
I'll tell you. If the claim is being made by this statement, the word of the Lord is flawless. We use the dictionary definition of the word flawless. What does it tell us?
Something without blemish.
Without flaw, without. Now, it's a claim because it is talking about the contents of the information contained in what we call the Bible. So the question here is this.
The word is not the Bible.
What do you mean?
The word that is spoken of in the Psalms is not speaking of the Bible. It's speaking of the word. It's the word of God.
And what is the word of God?
Certainly not a book.
Oh, what is the word of God?
Well, according to the Jewish tradition, the word of God is delivered to Moses on Sinai.
Yes.
And it is an oral tradition.
It is a?
Oral recitation.
Excellent. So if it's an oral tradition.
It's not a word.
Excellent. But the book of Psalms was not given to Moses.
The book of Psalms is...
David.
This is wishful thinking. All the Psalms are attributed to David.
Amazingly, they are attributed to him. But here is the issue though. You are doing exactly what I've just said. That if the book is saying that the claim is being made. You said the word was oral tradition. That's what you said.
I'm saying that is talking about that, right, as far as I can tell. It's not speaking.
I'm so glad, Toby, you said as far as you can tell. Okay?
That's all as far as I can tell.
But that necessarily means that, like I said, if you were to look at the book, at least assess it against the criteria that it has given. So when it is saying the way of God is perfect, what would that mean?
I'm not going to judge a book by itself. You need an outside source to judge it by. You can't judge something by itself.
Now, here is an odd thing you have just said. You and me have already agreed that an independent criteria we would need to establish. I then said, excellent, but if there is a criteria which is independent of both of us, and it is going direct to the object or message or book that we are discussing, logic dictates that, okay, me and you can safely say, right, this particular book, this message is giving us a criteria, we adopt it. So now when it says to you, the way of God is perfect, let us logically follow it through. What is the way of God? If it was orally transmitted, as you said, what is the way of God?
You're assuming that the people alive at the time had the same position as the people who were reading the book or even wrote the book.
But that assumption can be overturned if we were to adopt the test.
You can also have re-evaluation over time with the same assumption.
No problem.
But
are you going to undertake the test?
The test is?
I just said, the criteria. You use different words, yeah? Would we, because it is independently suggesting to us that, look...
Not independently, because it's internal suggestion. An internal suggestion within the text.
No, it's independent of us.
Independent of us.
That's what I'm saying. But wait a minute, for you to say that, you would necessarily have to evaluate it.
You could though. The fact
no.
You could evaluate it independently. If you had the liturgy of the first temple of Solomon, you'd be able to evaluate that.
Right, wait a minute. Let me understand this. You would rely on external sources to establish the veracity of something which itself is saying you don't need external sources.
Of course.
How logical is that?
First of all, you can't say that because a document says it doesn't need external sources, that statement is true.
And how would you verify that?
You can't verify it.
Wait a minute, why can't you just test
Sorry.
Sorry.
You can't presume it either.
But here...
You have to take it with a pinch of salt until it can be evaluated.
But here is the point, Toby, though. I can't understand how your logic is seeming to be coming to its position and then it's falling.
Tell me.
I just said the only way to establish this is to evaluate the contents. Yeah? You then said, no, I would have to look at external sources.
No, evaluate no, that's not what I meant.
All right, explain,
not
sorry.
Evaluate the contents like that. I'm saying if a claim is made by a text, in order to verify that claim, you cannot use that same text.
Why not?
Because that text is itself commenting on itself.
And what's wrong with that?
It's a hell of a trust position, and it's far better to be able to verify a fact than to have the fact verified by the thing telling you.
Sorry, Toby.
A man comes here and says, "There's £1,000 on the road over here." There's a man giving away money.
Yeah.
Okay, that's from that one individual. Now we have that verified from an outside source. A newspaper that comes along and says, "Oh, okay, a man is going to be standing at this corner at 2 o'clock giving away money."
Yes.
We now have an outside source to suggest that what the individual is telling us is true.
Toby, if that claim was made by the person and you yourself went to see it, wouldn't that be better?
that would be even better, yes.
That's what I'm telling you to do with the Bible.
How can you do that?
No, I just told you. You see, you made the error of saying that if somebody says there is £1,000, I agree with you. You said if a third party came and verified it, I'm thinking that's odd. Toby, go yourself there and verify it.
Okay, but I wouldn't be.
Why wouldn't you do that?
I didn't use that as an example because again, if you are led by the individual, you're accepting his information, and by following it, I am accepting it.
But Toby.
But I'm not accepting.
But Toby.
In my example, I wasn't accepting.
You will notice you have made an error in your reasoning here, respectfully. You see, you just said that he came and said there's £1,000 there. What has he done? He has relayed information to you. He never said, or you didn't say he's a trusted friend or anything like that. Let's assume he was independent. As soon as he came and said that, you, for some odd reason, at least from my angle, please tell me I'm wrong, you suddenly said I would rely on a third party to come and verify that information. I'm thinking, hey, Toby, go over yourself. You might even collect £1,000.
I wasn't expecting you to take the example quite so literally.
Why did you give it like that?
Because I was using it as an example in the here and now. And of course I would not go myself. Because,
why not?
Because therefore my example falls apart and doesn't make any sense to you. Because if I went myself, then I would be trusting in the original source or the book that is telling me this information, rather than looking for the outside. So I was using the example of the possibility of outside verification.
But Toby,
that's why I didn't go.
Yeah, but Toby, I of course I understand, but I can't understand the logic here. Are you saying that if a guy makes a claim about something, you, to prove either right or wrong the claim, are saying that you have to believe it? Why?
Believe it. I said,
so what are you saying?
If you want to prove something to be true or not.
How would you do that? Rely on third-party sources when you can verify it yourself?
Only if it's gone 2 o'clock and he's gone home, I have to rely on the third-party sources, don't I? That's why I used it as an example.
Wait a minute. Sorry, Toby, you've added another element in.
I did say he was giving away money, and I did say he's
and there was no
the whole time. And I did say that the newspaper said 2 o'clock.
Sorry, what was that?
I did, in my example, I did say that the verification from the outside source would come from the form of a newspaper, and the newspaper would say at 2 o'clock the individual would be there giving away money.
But when he came, you had if that is how you are viewing it, when he came, you had the opportunity to verify it yourself independently.
Yes, but again.
So why would you not take it up?
You're not taking. I've already explained that to you.
Why?
Because I created that scenario in order to explain to you my position. So if I had followed your logic and suddenly run off to find it, I'd have to create an entirely different scenario in order to explain what I'm trying to explain.
Excellent, Toby.
I'd have destroyed my scenario.
If that be the case, you need to give another better example then.
Well, I just move things on a few hours.
Excellent.
So what you have, and everything's already happened.
Excellent. So let's assume your logic has told you, okay, I waited and 6 o'clock, well, too late. The point is not that. The point is back exactly where we had begun. Did you have the ability to independently verify it? Yes or no?
In this scenario, yes.
Yes, you did, didn't you? Now, I am saying exactly the same thing about the book. If it has made a claim, what is stopping us from trying to verify the claim or demolish the claim?
Nothing is stopping you.
So,
it wasn't the issue of whether you can or you can't that we were discussing.
Actually, no, we were discussing.
It was the criteria of valuation.
Yes, but in order for us to arrive at an independent criteria, I said, look, me and you would have to agree a criteria. Well, wait a minute, there is a third party which is providing a criteria that dispenses with me and you arguing over what we will agree to be a criteria. Why don't we adopt that?
Well, it depends on what it is and where it comes from.
Excellent, Toby. Pleasure. Please do forgive me anything untoward, not intended, in the spirit of discussion. It was a pleasure speaking to you.
Very nice to talk to you too.
Likewise. Thank you very much. Thanks. Look else.